3, 2. I got it. I fucking got it. All right. I'm going to send this tweet. Post was sent. Gonna drop a linkity link in the immediate reply because that's what you do on twitter.com. All right. It's up. Good evening. The time is 9:12 on October 20th, 2024. My name is Chris Kennard, aka your Princess of Port Richmond, aka Ham Kavina, first of her name, long may she reign. I am here with my brother, my friend, my constant collaborator, the visionary of the future himself, Aelor, Entel, the living abstraction, electric headspace. We are gathered before you this evening because there's something that we needed to do. We were planning to have this conversation a little later this week, but there's been a bit of an update in the situation, as it were. If you did not know, Vans Warped Tour is returning next year. They're not paying us to say this, so we're not telling you the dates because we don't have $150 to spare for pre-sale. But there will be 6 dates on 3 separate months. If you can afford to go, have fun. However, they're not booking the band. They're not letting you know who's on the bill till January. And I say, fuck that. I say, fuck that a second time. Amongst the discourse, we have one Ronald Radke, infamously from the band Falling in Reverse. The people at Kanmide, myself, and Aelor implore thee never to listen to that band under any circumstance unless you're being paid life-changing money. But yeah, like one thing I know about Ronnie Radke, he's always going to say something homophobic, transphobic, racist, any like sort of like right-wing talking point. He's going to make it because for some reason, and this is just like the honest to God truth, as talented as this person is, he seems to like think that being like some sort of like heel from like a wrestling promotion is like the way to just like maintain his like artistic and professional integrity. Not sure what that's about. Man should have been like excommunicated from the scene when he threw mic stands into the crowd that one time at at an amusement park where like people were bringing their kids and shit. But that's neither here nor there. In response to just like Ronnie just like showboating and bragging about how like integral to the scene and its culture is, the official Vans Warped Tour Twitter account responded with, "Here, you drop this king," with a crown emoji.
Yeah,
and like it not only is and for all like our white folks in the audience who may be listening now or in the future, like if you're gonna like like plagiarize AAVE for like a viral tweet, maybe like if you were too embarrassed to like ask a black member of your staff, like, is this okay? Is this doing too much? If you're afraid to ask that question, don't make that tweet. Leave it in the drafts. Delete it. I don't know. Close Twitter. Go take a walk. Drink some water. There are so many options that you have because, as a long time, what's it called? I'll say, I guess like card carry a member of the scene. I've been to Warped Tour maybe 3 times in my tenure, and like I would say that this tour is infamous for like platforming people who did not need to be given a platform. Take a rock, throw it in the dark, you might hit a bigot. You know what I'm saying? On this tour, whether like folks were aware of the crimes they were committing or not, it's just that like considering everyone who's played this tour for as long as it's been on the road, a lot of these acts have committed heinous acts. For like the I suppose like the institution to this like glaze one of like their biggest like I guess like opponents. I don't know, like just for like just like to say out loud like, yo, this is our guy, to like all of like the people who are like excited and anxious to come to these shows is really telling. And you can notice even sorry to take it there, but like, you know, punk is political, and like in like politics, a lot of folks who hate those who are not white, any marginalized group, those insert here, they're being very like, yes, we do not like insert group of people here, and we don't give a fuck if you're upset about it, because what are you really going to do about it? Not a goddamn thing. And you need to make of that what you will. So me and my friend have taken it upon ourselves to say, you know, if we held the keys to the kingdom, who will we call upon to just rock these people's faces off this upcoming summer? And the results may surprise you, because we may have mentioned it in the last stream. Aelor, like in my opinion, Aelor is as emo as it gets. He wouldn't call himself a card-carrying member. I have affectionately referred to him in the past over all of our streams as like the de facto hipster. And after like combing through like his selections for like the Apple 100 albums like stream that we're going to do later this month, like I know that I'm right, and like I don't mean it in a derogatory way. It's just that when I consider all of music's history and what's just kind of been like compartmentalized, he has such a great ear for talent, and that is further like I have further proof of this fact based on the bands that he has given me today. Because I gotta tell you, babe, I maybe knew 3 of your 15. We decided to pick 30 bands because I felt like 50 would be a bit much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think 30 is a healthy number, considering the fact that when the Vans Warped Tour goes from state to state, of course, some locals are going to play. And so I thought, like, if I'm taking this tour to every state in America, I don't know, from like early June to like mid-August, if I even had enough time, because I think you probably need like 100 days for like to even touch all 50 states. Who the heck would I pick? And I had to like snip and prune like numerous times, even tonight, because I was at work like, oh, I gotta include this man. Oh, I gotta include this man. And you know, like if you're like, I don't know, like a fan, if you're like a fan of our work and thinking, oh yeah, Chris is gonna hold me down, and you're not on this list, please charge it to my head. Don't charge it to my heart. You know, this is just a fantasy booking, and if I had the budget, Lord knows I'd take 60 freaking bands on the road if I could. I would love to see just like more just regionalized festivals and concerts prioritizing the local acts that are kicking ass, but we all can't have what we want. Any thoughts on just like Warped Tour culture as a bit as an outsider, Aelor?
Yeah, thanks for asking me that. Yeah, thanks for asking me that, because you know, like, yeah, thank you for asking me that, because you know, I kept, when I was fortunate enough when you were fortunate enough to speak with you, technically early in the morning, when you told me about your plans. You know, I was straight with you, where it's like I feel much like my relationship with like emo culture in general. It has my relationship with that kind of like that Warped Tour scene. I always kind of saw it as like outsider looking in, because I feel, because I'm not gonna act like I wasn't singing along with the Fall Out Boys and the Panic at the Disco.
Please hold.
Yeah, sorry. Like,
as you were saying, but I want to call Cap. I want to call Cap on you real fast.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You know why I know like you're capping? Because we're the same age. So what?
Yeah,
I can hear you loud and clear. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry, like.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. We don't have to do anything. It's cool.
Okay,
all I wanted to say is that I know you're capping in regards to Panic and the Fall Out Boy, because we're the same age, and when we were in middle school is when the first Panic album came out, and when the sophomore release of Fall Out Boy came out, which made them into national acts. So
Yeah.
we were, and for what it's worth, I didn't really join the scene until like 9th grade, and a fuck ton of shit happened in just like emo, like crossover punk culture in like those like 3 years from like 6th grade to 9th. You know what I'm saying? So like you were
Yeah,
you know like
yeah.
you were like you there were brushes, but you had bigger fish to fry, culturally
Yeah, because
speaking.
because like it's like as much as I acknowledge that, as much as I acknowledge that, like I feel like by like middle school going into high school, I was very firmly into I'm doing my hip hop thing, I'm doing my indie thing, I'm doing like a lot of my retro classic thing. It's like every now like okay, you know, I rocks would say anything, but it's like, oh, that's not exactly where my heart is. Like,
And big shout out to Max Bemis for what it's worth. You still with me?
yeah.
Is that all you had to
Not
say? I know I don't know if you're like you had anything more to say because you just kind of stopped.
okay, yeah, there technically is more. And hey, computer, do not screw me over right now.
You're
Um,
good.
but yeah, so it's like I do feel some to my past within 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 that scene, but I'll admit it's not something that I completely hold myself to, because as soon as I could, I was already kind of getting into a lot of other stuff. And can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay. How clear am I coming off right now?
Let me ask you a question, my friend. Do you have a pair of buds that are wired in?
No. I unfortunately don't. I unfortunately don't, because
Okay, and don't
every
and I won't I just wanted to know right away because I
yeah.
already know it's going to be in the mail for you in like a week. Also, we have a guest.
Oh, hey, Beth. Oh
Lighten up.
wow.
We're good.
Oh wow.
Let's before before like because maybe it's just like all those like FIR fans trying to like sabotage this stream. Let's get right into the beef of the situation. Um, if we had our way and we were going to book the 2025 Vans Warped Tour, the lineup would be the following: Pulses with Sales Ahead, Nightlife, Five Ever, Shamir Bailey, Hannah Jadagu, Ty, Chaotic Couture, Rose Lens, Pink Shift, Granite State, There, Hugh, Meet Me at the Altar, Jair, Home is Where, Circuit, Rat Boys, Elway, Kid Bug, Be Your Own Pet, Brainiac, Velocity Girl, Fold Paper, Honey Glaze, Julian's Daughter, Maruha, Crack Cloud, Girl Scout, and Legit Smitty. Now, for the sake of time, we're just gonna like pick 5 bands from the 15 we chose and just go into a complete like hear me out discussion, as if like Kevin Lyman himself or any of those other execs putting on this the tour late next year are like yeah, half this lineup is pretty good, but what about these other weirdos? Like this is our chance to really just like shoot our shot as far as like saying how like the nation at large, its youth and like its geezers of the scene would like really gel with these acts. I'm gonna go first. Aylor, you can take your time to pick the 5. I specifically want to focus on Chaotic Couture, Ty, Jair, Pulses, and With Sales Ahead. Although I might just change my mind.
And
I'm gonna it's what
yeah,
now? What?
and as of now, I'm planning on focusing on home is where, Be Your Own Pet, Rat Boys, Kid Bug, and Fold Paper.
Oh, you already know. Okay, well that's perfect. I might change my mind honestly now that I think about it, because I am thinking about talking about Roselands, and I wonder
Mhm.
who I'm gonna take out if I do. Dang, this is harder than I thought. Holy crap! All right, I'm just gonna like pick one, and I'll do one at a time, and we'll figure it out as we go.
Like you could start with one, I do one, like
See,
much.
that's also good too. Let's do that.
Yeah,
I
much
want
like
to
how we much
yeah,
like how we usually do our episodes.
it's true. Also, like, and as you can see, like I told you off stream, we have no overlap, and that's what's so important about booking these kind of festivals, because anyone could just say, oh yeah, throw Prada, Day to Remember, 303, and call it a day. But like, where's the fun in that? And that's no shade to at least two of those bands. One, you know what you did, and I don't respect you. But like that, you know who you are. Um, let's start with Chaotic Couture. Baltimore legend, my former classmate from my brief stint in radio training, and truly like a trailblazer in regards to just like rapping, DJing, hosting parties, like a real self-made queen, if I do say so myself. Queen of the Eastern Shore, queen of my heart. Kai, I love you. I'm going to definitely put a link in the comments after this stream is over to your podcast, into your latest album. It's called Prototype. It's on all the DSPs. Here's the thing, like I remember like anyone who's like a real nerd about Warped Tour will tell you that like Eminem played the tour at a certain point in his career when he was still like just paying his dues, as it were. And so I feel like there should always be a rapper on Warped Tour. Like I know MGK played 1 year or several years, because like he'll be the first to tell you how much he loves like punk and rock and stuff like that. But like, and I also have I happen to know that when Wild Boy was like the big MGK song, like Chaotic was there when he played it, and of course Waka Flame was not there to do his verse, so MGK pulled Kai up to do the Flocka verse, and she of course knew it because we all knew it at that point. And I don't know if there's footage of it, but I love that because, you know, again, like that's the community saying, like, you know, like when you go to like these DIY shows and Muggs is like, grab the mic, this is your song too. That's a cool example of that as far as I'm concerned. But like there needs to, like, when I think about like rock and roll, when I think about punk, like I picked a lot of like acts with like black people in it, people of color and stuff like that, because the shit really starts with us. And
Yeah.
before, like when you like go to war, there'd be like one person who's black or not white on these tours, and usually be like the drummer from Yellow Card, and we can't do that shit anymore. We really can't, and partly because like LP3 isn't in Yellow Card any longer, so we don't have that excuse. And
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
usually like the one freaking band that's booked from Japan that like nobody knows, and I'm like, that's the point. But like, and oddly enough, I didn't choose any of those bands because I wanted to like reach from within. I wanted to keep it more DIY this time around. And
Yeah,
so
and you know,
in regard,
yeah, and
go
that's
ahead.
something I really respect of what you've done is that like I mean I will admit I had my own idea in terms of my selection, and and I'll kind of explain the context of why I chose certain acts that I chose, which. And I'm really glad that you said that you really wanted to pay attention to like put in a lot of putting a lot of non-white acts on, because there are a good amount of non-white acts on mine, and one in particular that I really look forward to talking to. But I'll admit, I went into with a different context than how you did yours.
Interesting. At the end of the day, not to like to get too off topic, it's like I wanted to like I picked like at least 2 acts from like people that like I know personally, and it's like if I'm gonna get over in this industry in music or entertainment, I want to put over the folks that inspired me when I don't have like the bravery to make my own music, to like make my own tapes, to sing covers. Like when we were still in school, like Kai was like, "Do you want to like be on the intro of my first mixtape?" And that is a memory I hold quite very, very dearly, because like Kai would take us around places, to school, to like get food. Like I slept on her floor once when I locked myself out of my place after a night out.
Yeah.
So like I'm like KenardKris is kind of my hero, you know, like just like being a part of why like Baltimore is very underrated and also like overlooked in regards to its contribution to culture. And I sincerely believe in my heart and in my soul, the reason why it's like less overlooked now is because of the hard work that like KenardKris and her friends have done over the last decade. And you can take that to the fucking bank. Aylor, you can go ahead and get started with that act you're especially excited to talk about, because once again I want to reiterate to you, of all the acts that you like suggested, I maybe know 3. So there's like 12 bands I don't know that I'm gonna have to get to know over the next year because of you, and I really appreciate that.
And Graham, and admittedly, while I will be starting off with an act that you are familiar with, this was part of like the different contexts I was kind of working with. Um, what you're doing, like when you kind of like, because the whole main genesis of us even starting this thing was because of the whole Ronnie Radke situation, and my relationship with that man. You know, I don't really gravitate towards his music like that. I don't really have any negative thing I experience with that man. But it was one of those situations where a lot of people who I rock with were making it very clear that they did not like that man. And it kind of became that thing where it's like, all right, you know, I don't really have an opinion, but, you know, I value you. But, you know, but some of you people, you know, are people whose opinion I gravitate towards, and I understand where you guys are coming from. In particular, the opinions of women within that scene who were very open in talking about how he kind of represented everything that they are trying to move that scene beyond. So it was always like cool. So my whole context with this was basically make this the most anti-Radke approved thing ever, because Warped Tour wants to be on Twitter saying, "Hey, you're the king," and I'm thinking, nah, we gotta move away from that.
Down with the king.
So and I was thinking, what better way to start, you know, with a band that I know truly does represent the opposite of so much of what I've come to know Radke as, by talk about a band like Home Is Where. You know, a band that, you know, not only has been absolutely, you know, active in making sure that in this emo revival scene, that they are a serious name that is considered, and you know, and while you know, my respect for this band exists beyond of you know, their you know, personal identities and stuff like that, I will always show love to a band that's trying to make themselves so visible within this punk space, led by a trans woman. And you know,
Shout out to B. Shout out to B.
yeah, and Grant, and I think, and I was thinking, okay, if Warp Tour is supposed, if we're trying to pitch a Warp Tour that separates itself from the past, which, like, it's kind of a joke now when we talk about Warp Tour's relationship with I won't say they got weird cases, but they got weird accusations. You know, you know, you know,
We have no
you know.
lawyers, so please don't sue us. But like,
Yeah,
y'all,
yeah.
again, y'all know who you are. Most of this shit is in your Wikipedia, fam.
So I'm thinking. So if we're trying to make a Warp Tour that is so far away from that past, we got to make a Warp Tour that makes it sure to be more, that there's a more visible light being shown to, like, to acts who do not who like do who exist outside of the cishet normativity that the scene can get accused of, and let it also be known, like, I straight up love these guys. I Became Birds. I think that is an album that, while I discovered it a year later, I would definitely say stands as one of the best works of 2021. And
Ooh, high
yeah,
praise.
and I think, I think it shows a band that, yes, yes, they're still kind of coming into their own, but I truly believe still have a lot of interesting things to say, and interesting things that should be shared with such an audience. So yeah, so okay, and this was a band I thought would be on your list. I thought you were going to put them, but
Okay, then let me expose myself as a fraud.
uh,
Like, not to call myself like a fake fan or fair weather. It's like Home is Where is in that category of bands that lives on my Twitter and not necessarily in my Spotify. You know what I'm saying? Like, just
yeah,
like
yeah.
prominently like posting about like the work that they're doing. Like they're on Audio Tree, which is like super huge for bands in this realm. And like they got coverage on Pitchfork. And they've also, I think, may have like gotten a shout out or two from like the Indie Heads podcast. So like they're really just like taking W's everywhere they go. And it was so cool. Like we were streaming music together, you and I, and you played some Home Is Where. And I'm like, I've never spoken to you about this band, but you have your ear so close to the ground sometimes. It's like, it's so cool it's so cool when like I happen to see you in the same space and we didn't show up together. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
that, it makes me so happy that like, oh, like this brother is so fucking tapped in. And like, so yeah, because like, I know my whole approach to like bands and such is that if I know you and I don't listen to your work, but you're highly celebrated, I'm moving the fuck on, unless like folks is like, you have to stop and listen to this, you need to
Mhm.
hear this immediately. I just like I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm so hyper focused on my own bullshit that like I'm probably gonna play a song that I like 50
Mhm.
times in a row over the next 50 days. Cause my whole like for me, like if I like a song, I'm only playing it once a day. I'm trying my best not to wear the rubber off. So I definitely I definitely should say on stream that like I owe Home Is Where a full like Discog dive. And like who knows, like if I get my repertoire correct, I might interview this band someday. So like I owe it to them, and like it gonna get done because the shit you played for me by this band, I'm like, oh, this is hard. This is like some crucial shit. This is some shit I needed to hear in high school, So like,
Mhm.
kudos to you.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
and while you've been talking, I'm like, I'm not sure which ones I'm gonna pick. I'm just gonna like do that other artist I know personally. That is to say, Rose Lens. And funnily enough, the bass player from the trap, like the touring bass player for Pink Shift. I figured it'd be great to like just get both acts on a national tour, because I feel like the solo stuff that like Homie is working on is so like compelling, especially from just like a homegrown space that I would have never like considered. I've often said that when I left my hometown, like local bands that like I almost like disregarded like exploded as far as like music that like was like that could be heard by millions, you know what I'm saying? And so if you like pick any one list artists off my list, pick Roselands because there's only 2 EPs and like it's it's your afternoon. It's like it's you taking the bus, it's you riding a bike, it's you cleaning your room, doing the dishes, like doing some drawing. I'm a huge fan. And obviously they're very busy because Pink Shift is taking over the dang world. And I'm so happy to see bands from Baltimore like kick ass and take names all over the globe. So hopefully like we can expect more from this like I guess side project artists in another year or so. But yeah, like just somebody that I've known, somebody who respects my point of view, who I don't explicitly know from the internet, is like, oh, like it's so huge for me. I've seen Roselands play once, and I hope to see them play again. One of the few like bands I have like the T-shirt of still to this day. Huge fan. I don't have too much, but I'm just like I just want to put my homies over for all the hard work that they're doing in like the actual real world, you know. Back to you, friend. Well, who else would you like? Who's like another artist in like your hear me out category?
Okay, and this is where I kind of expose myself of having a very like I would describe outsider looking in relationship with emo subculture like because like as soon as I realized I could, I just went straight back into my indie BS but once again, you know, I think that Warped Tour is something that can okay, like yes, while very much, you know, keeping themselves firmly within their pop punk foundations, it's bound to try an experiment with things. And I mean, and I guess that's the most charitable way I could describe my inclusion of Rat Boys into this list because, okay, Rat Boys music can't be considered within emo, but in the very acoustic, folksy branch of emo, you know, not you know where the angst is very much there, but it is more implied than exploded on. But that said, you know, a band like Rat Boys, which you know, shout out to that Mike the Sneer video. You know, a band like Rat Boys, I think, have shown that they are still very much interested in evolving their sound. And I am so disappointed of the fact that I own their record, but I forgot to bring it down here to show you guys. But I own their 2020. I have to take the L for that because there's a funny story about that. I own their 2020 album, Printer's Devil, which was a really wonderful album for me, especially in that year. And you know, like, you know, we all know what 2020 was for us, you know. And that was an album and that was an album where you really saw the band try to evolve more as they were, as while still foundationally a two-piece band, you would see them like try to bring more people in. And it's the first time you really kind of get used to the notion of, even though there are only two people on the album cover, it's really the first album that was very open in like, hey, this is a new Rat Boys, you know, we're bringing more people in, we're experimenting more with electric guitars. And I my personal a personal favorite song of theirs, I Go Out at Night, you know, is I think is so wonderful because it showed that band like kind of going into shoegaze and dream pop and doing it so effectively that but while still very much playing on their really good talent with and lyricism, and that is a very special album for me, especially because and I really wish I brought my
It's fine.
vinyl,
It's okay.
like,
You
but
can Google it.
uh, yeah, but one really cool thing about that album is that it has this really cool like opaque color to the vinyl. So it looks really cool when you're playing it on a turntable like mine that literally has rainbow colors on it.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, so yeah, really cool experience. Really cool experience. I even shared it with the band, and they were like, and they gave me the shout out for that and everything. But and okay, Printer's Devil was 4 years ago, and they would release another an album year later that was more of them just kind of like remixing, re-recording their old acoustic stuff, but now with their 4 or 5 piece band and all the electric guitars you can muster. But they did release a new album of new material, The Window, which saw them like kind of like scale back on the shoegaze psychedelia of Printer's Devil and going more for an outright alternative country thing, which even best helped because it was produced, well, it was self-produced, but they co-produced it with Chris Waller, aka yeah, the former guitarist of Dead Cat for Cutie. And okay, I will admit I still prefer Printer's Devil, but I think The Window shows a band that is still very much coming um into understanding their evolution and trying to understand what Rat Boys can exist beyond the two piece it was for its early durations. And I think, and look, and hey, when Rat Boys want to rock, they can rock. Alien with a sleep mask on, that would absolutely get a crowd pumping over at Warp Tour. So it's like, okay, they still kind of have a more at times folksiness, but when they want to rock, they can rock.
And for the record, like, let's not pretend like there isn't a whole like folk punk revolution sweeping the nation. Let's not pretend like there isn't a whole acoustic tent that like travels with the Van Warped Tour. So like, like there's like a litany of opportunity for a band like Rat Boys. And I'm sure again, another just like pitchwork darling. And like hipsters got money and these bands got to pay the gas bill. So bring them in, bring them in. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my third act, which is my friends in Granite State. Again, a group of people who I know personally, who I'd love to see like just do what they do all over the world. Because Granite State, believe it or not, was the first band I ever interviewed in person. And so sorry about that. It's just that like these are folks I know from high school, and like these are cats that like gave me rides when I needed to like get places, and just like just I got to see them in the front row when like they were playing in like tattoo shops, and like seeing them play once. I got to a venue early with a friend of mine. We got a ride from like my mom's friend, and in the back was one Drusif from To the Ark at the time, one of like the most important like metal YouTubers on the planet, just like playing drums. And like when I heard that man sing for the first time, I'm like, I can't believe what I'm hearing. This is just like a cat like from my scene who I'd never seen before. Like the importance of Granite State to me is like it showcased how important hardcore is to my life. And oftentimes there aren't a lot of like straight hardcore bands on Warped. Like you have metalcore bands, you have like you have emo acts, you have pop punk, but not often. And like you'll have like deathcore even, but not just like real like meat and potatoes unga bunga like hardcore. And so I feel like I'm always calling for like seeing unity. It's like there needs to be recognition for push pit people and like crowd killers. Let's communicate what we do and do not want to happen in the pit. And so like I think that's why I want to like shine a light on my homies in the GS. I their $70 hoodie keeps me warm every day I leave my house, especially now as far as around the corner. And you can listen to their most latest EP, Cut Off from the Sun, on all DSPs. I also did not mention that the Roselands EPs, All We Are and Stale Green, are also available anywhere you decide to stream your music. Dang, I don't really like taking as much of the conversation up as I thought I would. I'm gonna pass it back to Aunt Lore. Who else? Who else is like on your like hear me out list?
Okay, and so this is a band that I have played for you in the past. In fact, this was a band that I was when I was so glad to hear about them when I did, because their story was just so captivating to me, and it was, and I'm glad I already loved a lot of the songs that they were putting out at the time, but there was just something about hearing this story that is just such a testament. It's such a testament about the connection that music can bring to people, and what can result of those things. And I I and okay, even though they, as of now, they still only have that one album, I I very much still kind of see a future for this band. I can very much still imagine one, and I would very much love to live in a future where Kid Bug ends up on Warp Tour.
I don't remember this band. Tell me more about them.
Okay. So, all right. Why I know I played. Actually, if you dig deeper into your back catalog, like I definitely know I mentioned possibly one of their songs way back in 2020. Like, it,
Ancient
long,
history.
yeah. But okay, but Kid Bug, while technically a supergroup, is is mainly masterminded by a Miss Marina Tadic, aka Eerie Wonder,
Who?
and Eerie Wonder. It's a very indie twee folk thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of like, I'm not saying it's like Moldy Peaches, but it's definitely
Ah, now you're
of
talking my
that.
language.
Yeah. Of that kind of ilk. So, I mean, granted, she's way more twee. She's way more twee. Um, but Miss Evie Wanda and a Mr. Adam Hardin, who is a musician in his own right, who part of a band called the Dumb Numbers. They are both on the record label Joyful Noise, and during this project that their record label kind of put on them to make a Christmas album, all these label mates kind of end up hanging around, and Marina and Adam kind of like really hit it off. And while they would end up collaborating on a song on the album, listen to Snow Is Falling, uh, they were they end up hitting it off so well. They end up hitting it off so well that they decide, hey, let's keep making music. Let's keep making music together. And then and as they're developing this this wonderful professional relationship together, they also end up developing a romantic relationship. And those songs that they're sharing together is are basically the songs of them where they're realizing that they are falling in love together.
Wow.
You know, and and it's fascinating because musically the two very much different camps. Once again, like, Iwi Wanda, it's more of like the twee folk thing. She's very much in her. She's very much in a more acoustic place. And Adam is all about the noise. Is all about the noise and the grunge. And you see what happened. You hear what happens when those two sensibilities are realizing how well they work together. Like a
Okay.
song, yeah, a song that I had mentioned years ago, and one that I still find myself being fascinated by is good inside. Um, you know, a song that Marino, I believe, once described as the easiest love song she has ever written. And and the lyrics is still kind of take and the lyrics still kind of just take a hold of me. Like, you just at every point you just feel the rush of joy that she has, like, from meeting this man, and how well they work together. And okay, I love how kind of grungy it sounds. I mean, funny enough, because I know I played this song for you guys like way back in like 2020. And Jasper was there.
Uh-huh.
And I believe they described it as kind of sounding like the kind of sounding like Stacy's mom, I guess, because they kind of begin with that same kind of like power pop kick or something. But there's just but and nothing against Stacy's mom. Stacy's mom, cool song. It is what cool song. But Good Inside is just so wonderful to me. It's just truly, it's probably like one of the few songs that like really kind of shows how falling for someone is, that there's that relationship between your senses and trying to kind of be logical about it, but also just the bliss you have in that. And and in talking about Kid Bug, they are technically more members. Shout out to Bob Bruno, who, aka the other guitarist in the currently defunct Best Coast. He would also kind of end up being on this album as well. And the stars of the show are really Marina and Adam. You can feel the presence of everyone else, and they contribute cool stuff. But it's really the Marina and Adam show. And it's so funny and it's just so fascinating here, the whimsical lyrics of Erie Wanda being combined with the hard grungy sounds of Adam, and just like them fully, like, in a way, the record existing as a commentary of their relationship, and how and how great they feel like they are in each other's lives. And an album that probably would have gotten a bit more play because a song like Good Inside was made to be like an indie song of the summer, but 2020 happened, and sadly, an album about an album about the wonderful connection you have with someone at a time when things were so isolated. Eh. But I still stand by that album. I
Hey, world's
still,
better than like Stuck With You by Ariana Grande and Bieber. So we'll take what we can get
yeah,
as far as
you
indie love
know,
songs are concerned.
but I still stand by that album. And even though, like, this is Kid, as of now, Kid Bug's only album. I know that Erie Wanda do still maintain a bit of a professional relationship with Adam, who I believe, yeah, who co-produced their 2022 recent album Internal Radio. So I don't know if we'll ever see another Kid Bug album, but
Best case
wouldn't
scenario.
yes, but wouldn't you love to hear this absolutely hard rocking, but blissful band at a Warp Tour? A place that is all about the pop punk love songs. Like, and I don't consider this pop punk, but
It's
you can.
adjacent.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they are very. This band was very open about being influenced by Nirvana and Sonic Youth and My Bloody Valentine, and it comes across on many songs. I mean, even though I kind of consider Good Inside the highlight of the album, there are other wonderful tracks like Lovesick, which if you really want to hear them try to sing about being in love with each other while sounding like Bleach era Nirvana, like
That's
it,
hard. I like that.
yeah, yeah. And it's stuff like that it's just like I do think, like, I don't know what the future of this band is. It's like under better circumstances, I feel like that album could have been considered like the great big standout of the year. But that came out in early, but those tracks were coming out in early 2020 before everything that happened. And I know the album came out to acclaim, but it's like, it I really felt that there was something there that could have captured a hold of people. But it but okay, I mean, it was always going to be an indie album, but still, I kind of feel like the pandemic screwed things over a bit.
All the more reason to like keep singing their praises now. Big shout out to Erie Wanda. Shout out Nothing, because I believe Bob Bruno's playing bass for that band. I also noticed that like the drummer is from Swans, and I just want to say, for my own sake, Scandal acknowledged.
Oh, my bad. I mean,
It's not like you, and hey, for the record, it's not like you even knew in the first place.
yeah,
But Scandal acknowledged, for in regards to the severity of like the case regarding the frontman of that band. I'm not going to get into the details. Google it at your own peril and at your own like for the sake of your own triggers. Like get into that at your own peril. Scandal acknowledged. I haven't listened to that band in years.
yeah. Neither have I, to be honest. Yeah,
I just had a friend from back home who's like really into them, and I'm like,
yeah,
does he know? Does he not know? But y'all know now. Scandal
yeah,
acknowledged.
yeah.
Let's
Oh yeah,
focus.
yeah. And one moment, let me just close the door
Yeah, you do that.
because I'm
Well,
hearing
you do
too
that.
many
It's
noises.
all good. It's fine. I got you. I
Yeah.
promise. So the fourth band on my hear me out list in regards to like booking 2025 Warped Tour. I want to take a moment. I think I know the last two bands I want to talk about. I think number 4 is Pulses, another band that like I guess like I mentioned Granite State, the first band I ever interviewed. Half of Pulses was the last band I got the chance to interview. But I got to talk to the harsh vocalist and the drummer of that band, and they were very kind. They laughed at my jokes. And best case scenario, I'm gonna go see them play in Baltimore this winter. The Rockstar Energy Tour is coming to a city near you. 5 dates, Cheam, with Sales Ahead, Nightlife, and Pulses, baby. Don't forget the period. Tickets are available right now. I'll put a link in the comments after the stream is over. I want to talk about them in particular because I feel as though Pulses is the manifestation of everything I always wanted from like scene kid music. Like compelling lyrics, compelling vocals, and just like stellar instrumentation. And for any of those who don't have like the stomach for screamed vocals in any capacity, their most recent project, It Wasn't Supposed to Be Like This, just dropped like the instrumental. It's like the instrumentals are available on all DSPs. You can go listen to that if you don't want to hear any harsh vocals and things like that. But it's so funny. Like I mentioned Granite State with Sales Ahead is also on like this fantasy booking. Like both those bands are featured on this album, including Jared from Scotty Network is also like contributing some horns to this album. Like every kind of like subset of rock that you enjoy, mathcore, like anything inspired by like freaking Block Party. Like you're gonna get a little bit of everything from Pulses, and I love that they took it upon themselves to just like create the sound that inspired them and that they want to hear reflected in the world that like means the most to them. I listened to like when I knew like they were okay with me interviewing them. I listened to that album 3 times in a row. Well, not in a row, but like over like the week. I'm like, I need to listen to this album and really get into it. And sometimes listening to an album can feel like work, but like the moment I heard the first song, I'm like, this was made for me. And so it's like that meme of Denji from Chainsaw Man crying into the TV like, he really like me for real though, type shit. Like I feel such a kinship to this sound, and I can't wait for more people, especially Black folks, to hear this band and be like, hey, we're still here too, and we really are the blueprint to all this cool shit that everybody wants to copy. And so I'm gonna get off my soapbox to pass the mic back to my boy, because I know you got a couple more acts you want to just like specifically shine a light on.
Yes, and I guess as I'm heading into my last two, and once again, I'm having the mindset of we got to do the anti-Rodney Radke thing. We got to make the most anti-Ronnie Radke like approved list ever, man. Like because
truly a safe space.
Yeah, because of what everything he represents and everything we need to start moving away from. And and once again, this is me. This is the ultimate embodiment of how it's like in a way I do mess with the emo culture, but like but at the same time I wasn't really with y'all like
you
that.
weren't straightening your hair and wearing skinny jeans.
Yeah, like it's like I was around y'all, and I loved y'all were my people, but I wasn't doing the same thing y'all were doing, and perhaps the most ultimate embodiment of that being in my next choice, because as I've always and this is a joke I have made so many times in the past, and I don't know if you remember it, but I said, the thing about me in high school was I didn't have I liked Paramore, but I didn't really have a Paramore phase, because literally around the same time that Paramore was really blowing up was when I was really, really, really into Be Your Own Pet.
I should have known. I should have written it down. Hey, I just want to say for the fucking record, the fact it's so funny. You're like, dang, I wish like Kid Bug got their due. Be Your Own Pet is the biggest fumble of the music industry of all fucking time. I know a lot of folks in our realm like talk about Versa Emerge kind of got snubbed by the whole like paramorification of like rock or like women-led rock music, but holy fucking shit, bands like there's this other band that one of my homies, Corey from Chicago, got me into during a late night Twitch stream. That's playing. I'm looking right now because I know they're booked for when we were young. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Be Your Own Pet. Like it's so kind of fucked how like in the weeds that all scene. I feel like they should have been especially huge in like the scene kid world. Like the fact that there must have been some motherfucking like shit at work that prevented them from being as big here in the States as they should have been, because it's everything that I enjoy about this kind of music. Unfucking believable. While you're chatting, I'm gonna think of that other band that they remind me of that's playing when we were young. Go on, keep talking, please.
Yeah. Okay. And the thing is, okay, because you know, and this is how much I like really was in my own thing even then, because I had heard about Be Your Own Pet around 2007. So actually right after, like a year after their self-titled debut album came out, and it was so much of what I really loved about those kind of like 70s punk rock acts. And I could tell that Jamina was trying to evoke the kind of mannerisms of an Iggy Pop, and I thought, and she always sold it. She had that energy, and she had that energy that could be, well, let's be honest, as a lot of these 70s punk acts could be incredibly destructive, and I completely got it. But so it's weird looking back now when, you know, because we're gonna get it, you know, we have to get into their unfortunate history with the music press.
There it is.
With the music press and industry. But it's so odd looking back at how like a band that I absolutely adored, even at like 14 years old, was apparently getting, even though they were getting praised in the music press, you know, certain hipster blogs would be like saying like sexist stuff about Jamina, or like just like being misogynistic, because okay, yeah, all right, yeah, like yes, Jamina would in some way kind of sing about her at times destructive relationship with sexuality, which it's like, you know, being
every rapper and R&B singer does. So
yeah, and us being the cynical teenagers we were already becoming about that stuff. I was like, hey, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. But you know, apparently the press would like treat her would be misogynistic about it with her, and like completely just not understanding what she was really trying to evoke. But you know, unfortunately, that was just how women really, even the critically acclaimed women, were,
especially for that matter,
you know, were treated by that. Not helped by the fact that, you know, once again, so I'd gotten into them like in 2007. So right as the hype for their debut album was still there, but also right around the time that they were also dropping new tracks for what would be their sophomore album, Get Awkward. And I remember, and you know, like I was still really getting into the band. Hey V, so glad you could be here. You know, so I was just, you know, still very much like in love with a lot of those tracks from their self-titled debut album, Adventure, which I remember, like, I was like, wow, this band could be like truly be like the Blondie of our generation, man. Like,
Ooh.
this is, yeah, that was how like psyched up I was for Be Your Own Pet, to really blow up. And then, I end up hearing these new tracks from what's going to be their sophomore album. And I remember when the music video for the Kelly Affair came out, and I was just so psyched out because it was like, because it was the band already kind of commenting on their success, but in their own very cheeky, destructive way. Cheeky, destructive way, while also still brilliantly playing up on their love for 70s punk rock. I mean, feel free to go to Genius for the lyrics to the hook, in case you want to have a laugh, because that's really what they were. That's really what they were on, man. That's really what they were on. But unfortunately, Get Awkward, which is very much the band openly commenting on the success that their self-titled debut album had, how they've like kind of overnight become the big, huge indie darlings. And on that album, Jamina is being very open about how it's like, obviously, how it's kind of freaking her out,
Sounds like
And
Chaperone.
yeah, and it's like, and with the band doing this while still kind of being their good old destructive selves, unfortunately, um, Universal Records, did not really dig that. And this album, unfortunately, has the not good luck of coming out like a year after Virginia Tech. So songs like Becky, which actually is about a damaged person who feels betrayed by a friend, and wants to bring a weapon to the school, those tracks, like
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, Universal, Universal, they did not like Becky, they did not like Black Hole, they did not like Blow Your Mind, and they were like, hey, no, we gotta take these tracks out of the album. So in the US, those tracks weren't there. But I had YouTube, so I could hear. So I ended up hearing them anyway, and I was like, "Yo, man, this stuff is amazing." It's like, whatever. I was like, whatever. These record labels are stupid. It's whatever. But Jamina has spoken about it, and she was absolutely devastated that Universal did that to them. And it's so on this album that is very much already about how Jamina feels kind of freaked out about the fame and success the band is having right now, while also being in a position with their record label where they feel, I guess you could say, mismanaged. And oh wow, and this is the really fun reason I decided to add them to the list.
Okay.
Be Your Own Pet was scheduled to play Warped Tour in 2008.
Why weren't they?
Because by that time, the writing was already on the wall that they were about to break up.
Fuck. And if anyone knows anything about like just being on the road and like there's tension in the van, especially like in the heat, like the high heat of the summer, maybe perhaps the best call.
Yeah. And and that's the weird thing. Once again, I was really, really big on the Be Your Own Pet hype. I really thought,
to this day, you're like maybe their biggest fan that I know personally.
Yeah, I really thought, okay, this band could really be the big like indie breakthrough of our time. They were getting shout outs on the Rolling Stone, like, and I've even spoken about, because like I was a fan of them on like when I was like actually, when I was young and on Facebook like that. I was.
Yeah, when it was like the place like just like post lyrics or like a YouTube link to your favorite song.
Yeah. So I remember being part of a fan club, and like a band, and apparently one person had posted that he was going to interview the band. So could you send me some questions? And one question I
Yeah.
said was, where do you see Be Your Own Pet in 10 years from now? And
Ouch.
yeah. And someone even like replied back to me, oh, ha, ha, ha. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Look at where it dents are now. And
Nah, but like, hey, the answer is clear. Like, still in our hearts, still yearning to like see you get like the flowers that you clearly deserve. Even after all this time. And
yeah,
I can safely
yeah.
say that I was at a venue once. I was at Johnny Brenda's, and the lineup was Zulu from LA and Sasumi. And before Sasumi came out to play her set, they were playing "Be Your Own Pet" over the PA. So like clearly, like even out here, all the way out here in Philly, like we miss that band, we love that band, and hopefully, if someone wants to like throw us millions of dollars, we can convince them to come back on the road.
Yeah, and I guess the last few things I can say, like other than how much songs like October First account, which I don't know if it was like I don't know if it was like on a Scott Pilgrim soundtrack. I mean, I was already familiar with the song because I was actually listening to the album like that, but I know it kind of got put in with like Scott Pilgrim, which I thought was perfect
Genius marketing.
placement. Yeah, but I think one reason why, once again, kind of coming at this as in the kind of like anti Vonnie Radke way possible was ne- because we're so lucky that a band like Be Your Own Pet has now reformed and has even put out a reunion album
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
are where Jamina, now a much older, wiser woman, much more comfortable in her own skin, as well as a wife and mother, like can now way more openly reflect on how much they really got a raw deal back in the day, while also taking to task the culture we live in now, where the situation with women and reproductive rights and stuff like that, and like the fact that that was something that like in 2008, could we have imagined that happening now? And this is the difficult reality we have to face. So, and something that they openly reflect on in that album, while Jamina also being openly honest about the fact that, hey, she's not that, late. She's not that the hip teenager and 20 something she was back in the day. She is that, she's older. She has her own responsibilities. And it's like, does she know what her place can even be in this kind of music industry now? And it's amazing. It's great. And it was amazing hearing her be so honest about that. And I think it's that kind of honesty that we need now more than ever in a Warped Tour.
Yes, we need elders. We need just like leaders of the old school to like keep the new school from like flunking out, if I can like I don't know, like complete the metaphor. I also want to state for the record that like we here at Ken Me Day, for all like the women, men, and non-binary folks who have uteruses, we stand for your rights and we'll do anything we can to protect them, like by all means necessary, sincerely. You know what I'm saying? Like just the things that I've heard from like folks in my personal life about like having to like raise kids or even like bring them into this world in the first place. Scary stuff you never learned in school. And like if I have my way, like if you're like expecting like you'd be like chilling at the crib, like things would be paid for, like we get you in classes, so like you're still like doing things you want to do, and like, you know, like, I don't know, like just like free therapy and like going to massages and stuff like that, because I think we really need to like get back into like the space in society when like doing that kind of thing is like a warrior, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a very like scary thing, and we need to like show it the respect that it deserves, and not just like talk about it so like loosely and stuff like that. And let's keep it a being like in regards to like Warped Tour culture and things like that. It's primarily like femmes, women, and like non-binary folks carrying like, you know, like carrying the culture, like paying for the CDs, buying the t-shirts, like creating the wall flags, like studying the battle jackets, like coming to the front row knowing all the lyrics, like crowd surfing with all the enthusiasm in the world. Like most like folks who were raised in the way that I was raised, like we're maybe like leaving comments on YouTube videos, and that's like the extent of it, you know what I'm saying? But like really just like taking pictures, creating zines, starting groups on social media, like let's just call it let's call it what it is. And I want to make sure that like that sort of stuff isn't like isn't forgotten to time, and like on like, you know, like long forgotten message boards and things of that nature. I'm coming to like my last act, and I've been struggling. Oh, which group am I going to talk about? That really necessarily is. Oh, and before I freaking forget, the other band that like B Run Pet reminds me of is Pretty Girls Make Graves.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to the New Romance. But the last band I wanted to like just like show some love to. Oh, I'm so torn. I'm like, it's so funny because like at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these acts have like a person I've interacted with outside of the music, outside of the comments, outside of social media. I'm going to go ahead and I kind of want to like combine in a way, because like I want to like say something about Shamir and Ty, but I won't take too much. I won't monologue. First thing I want to say about Shamir is that like when I got into Shamir, like his music was like available for free on iTunes, and I made like an ancient tweet at this point about how like when I hear like Shamir sing, I think of like the front man from Hot Chip, and I'm like, yo, why haven't they collaborated on something? And like Shamir like liked that tweet. We're mutuals on Twitter. Like he's still to this day. And I carry like I wave the flag for Shamir Bailey and all the work that he's doing. Shout out Ladifa. Shout out XNO Popstar Records. I still want to come work for y'all someday. Maybe I'll just like focus more on Ty, because Ty was once like the singer of a band called Carson. And their like self-titled release way back when means the world to me. It is like one of my pipe dreams is to get at least like 12 of my favorite Black women singers together and be like, please pick a song, please cover it, and I'll pay for the studio time, I'll pay for like the performers. I want to like do like a tribute album to like the Carson self-release, but like I don't know any of the other people in the band, and I don't want to get sued, but I want to get it made, send it to Time, be like, can we put this out with your blessing? Because like the work that they did on that album really just like affected me personally. It was so cool to see a band led by a Black woman that sounded like Circa Survive, that was a fan of bands like Let Live. And now Ty like self-released under her own name with the No Hard Feelings EP, songs like What's the Point, I Feel Everything, Mind Back. You know, a couple of music videos are out on YouTube that I've linked now, because like while we've been chatting, I've been like clicking and clacking. There's a YouTube version of the playlist that you can like easily access if you don't like Spotify, if you don't have Spotify Premium. And so it is like, and you know, like Ty is one of those people who auditioned on American Idol when like the show was still relevant to people, when like you winning the show actually meant something for your career. And so and one thing we know about Idol rejects, they go on to always do good stuff. Tori Kelly, Remy Wolf, Jennifer Hudson, and things like that, like folks who don't win or like just get accepted by those judges and things of that nature. And so
I always like reminding about Jennifer Hudson is that the fact that, you know, we somehow live in a world where not one but two American Idol ladies have their own daytime talk shows, and they're both the quality, man. They're both the quality.
Well, Kelly won, first of all. You know what I mean? And that's not shade, because I'm a fan of Kelly's work, and I love like the covers that she does on her show. You know, like, again, just waving the flag for artists everywhere. One, Kelly Clarkson, but not booked on the, and frankly, if we're keeping it a bean, that second album was very Warped Tour core, but unfortunately produced by He Who Shall Not Be Named. Scandal acknowledged. If you know, you know. Rest in piss. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But again, I'm putting the focus back on Ty. Putting the focus back on Ty. Like, it like, you'll notice, like, I'm very keen on just like singling out just like the Black woman singer songwriter. I have Hannah Jadagu on here, who I think with one other band on this list is on Sub Pop, and I never thought you'd see Black people signed to Sub Pop in like the 2020s. So like, we gotta celebrate that shit. We gotta like acknowledge. We gotta like put over these new school acts.
I think like are Shabazz Palace still on Sub Pop?
Man, who cares?
Yeah,
I mean it's cool, but like, I have no freaking idea. I haven't thought about Shabazz Palace since they're in season 1 of like Atlanta. If I'm keeping it a bean.
All right. But I might end up talking about Shabazz Palace in the future. But sure. Come on the pod.
But yeah, like, just like Ty and I, we briefly spoke like on Facebook Messenger about something or other, and I'm like, it's so freaking crazy that people that you respect on like a musical level, again, are just like regular people who just like want to build community with you. And so that's why I'm like, for years, I'm like, since I wanted, like, in regards to like my Carson pipe dream, I haven't even said it out loud on the stream before, because I'm thinking, oh, like, it's so outrageous, like it may not even like come to life, but like I want to make it happen so bad. And we're just like, because I bemoan every time I get on mic or like talk to friends who love music as much as I do about how like institutions of Blackness do not give a fuck about Black people who make rock music or alt music or indie music at all. Like, there's no reason why Rachel Chinariri should have to like cancel touring in America because she can't fucking afford to. How the fuck does that work? Outrageous work, dog. I didn't put her on the list because she's already playing big ass festivals. She don't it's not that she doesn't need the press. She's gonna be okay in the long run. Like, we have acts like Almeida being signed to TDE, and I, again, never thought this shit would fucking happen, but I think it's because of artists like SZA and those like her paving the way to say, oh, like, the road to just like success for like the Black women in the music industry isn't necessarily in like the heels of one Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston. We all can't be those people. And thank God we had them in the first place, or, you know, for that matter, have them. But like, you can also just do your own shit and shine in your own specific way and get everything that you deserve in this world. And I think I'll cut myself off there before I say anything else. Who's your last artist you want to like just like hear me out for before we go over the night?
Okay, and you know, and one of the great things about talking about Be Your Own Pet, you know, was like really kind of be like kind of under like kind of like giving a bit of a glimpse of where my relationship with music really was at that time, where, you know, I could where, you know, I sometimes randomly by circumstance would find out about someone new at that time and just be like really wrapped up and just being like, hey, this person has a future here. And I think that when I got to discover that with this artist who is also once again this is an act that is actually really recent, and they actually just released their EP fairly recent, like a few months ago, which is all the more reason. And listening to this EP, I think it is just so incredibly promising, and I think that there's something really legit about this band, and I say all the more reason that I think, you know, Warped Tour should, you know, be, you know, try to keep things in where things are right cool developing acts right now. And strike while the iron's hot, and give a shout out to Fold Paper. You know, a band that while I had found out about recently, when I heard their song "Come Down Awkward," I was like really taken aback because
Wait,
it's
wait,
like,
wait, 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 wait. Okay, hold on. Okay, I have to tell you something so funny about you mentioning that song. If you'll indulge me.
mhm.
So like you gave me your half of the playlist like hours ago, like at like 8 o'clock, more or less. And so I'm thinking I'm gonna like build this shit into Flash and pass homie the link so we can like lock in together. And so I'm picking random ass songs while like I'm looking at your list. And the song that I chose without even looking was Come Down Awkward. I promise you, I did not intentionally pick that fucking song. But that tells me that it's fate, baby. That is so tight. Keep rocking. Keep
Yeah.
going. Keep going. Keep talking.
Yeah, so I mean, to hear a song like this, that in and look, bands like being bands trying to do their own take on late 70s, early 80s post punk, as much as in spite of my heavy fondness for that genre, for that subgenre, and that era of music in general, you know post-punk revival acts, they're kind of a dime a dozen at this point. Like, it's like, okay, like, oh hey, like, oh hey, oh wow, you're also really influenced by Joy Division and talking heads, and it's like, yeah, cool. But it's so wonderful where, much like growing up listening to Be Your Own Pets, and how, yes, they were very open in their in their influences, and they're very open on playing up on their influences, but that they find that weird way to make it fresh. And that's exactly how I feel about Full Paper, in terms of how much, it is very evocative of these, of like, if you want to compare it, I don't think you should rush to comparing it to Talking Heads, but if you did, I would say you would have to compare it more to like Fear of Music era, which is like a heavy personal favorite. Like, I know I put Remain in Light on the list, but Fear of Music,
Spoilers.
yeah, but Talking Heads' Fear of Music is an album I am just so incredibly fond of. And just how it's like, yeah, like Remain in Light is kind of like, Remain in Light is definitely, in its own weird way, a pretty dark album. But there's something about just how like, how the odd darkness of Fear of Music, and how you're hearing this band really kind of come into grips with their own weird take of punk rock music, that at they're still kind of trying to figure out. They're still trying to figure out, and it's kind of also coming around with these songs that kind of like represented a more darker side of where they could go, like like, when a band can really kind of like play up on that stuff, that it's like it gets its respect, but I don't think I don't like people
enough.
don't, yeah, people don't talk about like Talking Heads' Fear of Music the way they
At
talk
all.
about, yeah, well, like Burning Down the House or something,
Which is like retail core at this point.
yeah, but
But back to Full Paper.
Yeah, but it's like, but when you can hear a band that can really like very easily like can very very easily come like to a really good spirit of what was so imaginative about that era of like of post funk music, not just like not just like not just like playing up on the obvious influence, but also what the influences of the influencers were, you know, and just really kind of understanding the imagination that was at play in it, that I think comes across beautifully and come down awkward. And I also, you know, and yes, this band is from Canada. This band's from Canada, but you know,
Shout out.
I think, you know, but once again, we're trying to make, you know, and okay, I
I mean,
know I'm
so
kind of
Silverstein, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, and it's like, and I know I'm kind of beating the whole anti Ronnie Radke thing to you know, it's kind of becoming a dead horse at this point, but that was really the context of what I made certain choices. I made certain choices with. And I think, you know, what better way to take Warp Tour into the future than having a black led a black led band headline, man.
Yeah, like we were joking off stream that like you said like dude's name and I forgot who we were even talking about because I haven't eaten since like 3 p.m. And so I'm like, Radke, you mean like the band of the brothers? Shout out to Radke, the band. You're like, no, bro, Ron. And I'm like, man, he can jog on. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny how like you mentioned like at least 3 times ago, we're trying to like make an anti like Radke lineup, and I'm like, it's so funny because like Ronnie Radke likes to rap and he's not very good, but I got an actual rapper on this lineup that like can rap most of you mugs under the table, respectfully. Rest in peace, Ka. Speaking of like great rappers.
R.I.P.
So like yeah, y'all, like that's pretty much it. I almost considered like maybe splurging on like the Florida ticket in November. Oops, I guess I did promo for the goddamn tour, but oh well, not gonna go now because even if like pre-sale like got sold out and like I couldn't afford to go, it's like you're doing like just like embarrassing behavior on social media, and I can't stand for this. Like I went in the comments saying some shit like, you will never be one of us. Like I'm a member of Nails and shit. And it's like, who the fuck am I? I'm just some schmuck. But like, I think it's very like important that we just let institutions know to think that, oh, like if they want to like do shit like dictate the narrative for corporate gains, we will not participate. Um, like I said, I mentioned when we were young festival was like tonight, or at least it was yesterday, and one band couldn't play because they couldn't like come into an agreement behind the scenes. One All American Rejects, and chiming in on like them dropping off that tour was one of it was the drummer of Coheed and Cambria, because this year's theme for like when we were young fest was all these bands playing like their classic releases start to finish, and because of the length of one, I'm gonna get the whole name on screen so I don't like fuck it up. Sorry to all my ones among the fence, but yeah, they were slated, like Coheed and Cambria was slated to play Good Apollo on Burning Star 4 Volume 1 From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness, but it's an hour and 10 minutes at least, and they don't have like the set time to play the entire release. And so it's like some bands were like, oh, we weren't informed we were playing our classic Johns, so no. And it's important that like the music makers make hard decisions in regards to what they're going to get to the audience, how they're going to move about the country, and other things. I suppose like there are some folk who will tell you, oh, like sometimes bands don't get to decide who they go on the road with, and if that's the case, I don't want any bands to go on tour. I want bands to be able to say, we want to go on tour with this band because reasons, Not because we can necessarily just get money together, because like, oh, they're a good hang and we respect what they do and what they bring to the world. Because I mentioned it in previous streams. I stopped full stop listening to like two prominent bands in our scene because of their decisions to tour with like Falling in Reverse, namely Ike's 9 Kills and Under Oath. Because you're saying to me that like the safety of your fans is not as important to you like cashing a check. And I understand that most of these band cats have families, like children, wives, partners, husbands, you name it. I understand that. Bear also in mind that COVID's still out here and you could like die getting that shit. And most of these folks coming to these shows ain't wearing no dang mask. So like you could be paying me like Elon Musk type money. And like I could like, I don't know, come down with like with long COVID. Then what good would the money be? You know what I'm saying? Like there's no permanent cure to that shit. So don't feed me fucking excuses about, oh, it's just good business going on tour with like, I don't know, Dance Gavin Dance, Saleson, Periphery. Don't do that shit, dog. Like, not to get back on my soapbox, but like being in like this industry, being in rock, being in punk, being in indie, like there is a standard to be upheld. Not on some like cool kid bullshit, but on some like these spaces are like we create these scenes, we create these like realms because we are not allowed to be ourselves in the mainstream, in the workplace, on the street, being catcalled, being like harmed and shit like that. Also,
yes,
get your motherfucking flu shot, folks. But like, because like we create these spaces, these sacred spaces, these perfect fucking places, like there have to be some motherfucking ground rules. Don't even get me started on that motherfucking crowd killing, hardcore kids. But like, so that's why we book a tour like this. It's like odds are like the bands we really ought that really ought to get their shine will not get their due in the sun the way that they deserve to. So spread the cheese, dog. Whew. I'm done. I'm cool. I'd like to say thanks to my co-host, Alor. This has been another Ken Media production. I don't have a greeting card full of cash to flash on the camera. So if you want to help Alor fundraise for his passport renewal, you can find the link in the description. Hey, want to change the world? Rescue.org is featured on our site. We are not sponsored by Rescue.org, but like I feel like they do the best job of like listing in concise detail every humanitarian issue happening right now across the world. Where's my little list of countries? Let it be known that in this particular adventure of Ken Media, we acknowledge and stand for the people of Lebanon, Bangladesh, Hawaii, Ghana, South Sudan, Darfur, Burkina Faso, Myanmar, Mali, Somalia, Niger, Ethiopia, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Yemen, and Palestine. So if you want to learn more about that, it's not hard to do. You can go to Arab.org, learn more there. Please know that once you're done listening to the stream, you're going to go get a pee. You're going to drink some water, wash your face, brush your teeth, floss. And you have to look yourself in the eye in the mirror. So when you look yourself in the eye in that bathroom mirror, please say to yourself, clearly, no irony, no shade, I love you to yourself. If it's hard to do, trust me, I understand. Please know that me here, Chris Kennard, Alor, we love you in the most like platonic way possible. So know that. Stay hydrated. We'll hopefully be back sometime this week to do our analysis on the Apple Top 100 list. And I gotta say, after like thumbing through it again for the first time in a while, it's not as bad as I thought it was the first time. A big shout out to our friends of the pod, Bev. We love you so much. Thank you for dropping in. Our beloved V. Please go to subtlesmile.com for the best in art, music, and fashion. Dropping a URL in the doobly-doo at the conclusion of this stream. Go out and create something. Like you start, like if you're listening, if you're like a musician and you're thinking like, oh, like I want to like be the next big band on like the Warped Tour, make that song, make that release. We want to hear what you're doing because you're here for a reason, and like you should be following your dreams. Because Lord knows, if I wasn't working at this job I was at, I'd be doing that instead. Aylor, anything else that I may have missed before we go?
Well, you know, it was really, I'm really glad I got the opportunity to kind of like, I guess, you know, people may be so used to us speaking about music from the past, but even though we are talking about the past, you know, we're really talking more about what could be a possible future, that it would be wonderful to see music and art to be appreciated in, and you know, and I'm glad we got to have the opportunity to have that kind of conversation about how music, how we can possibly push things forward in musical recognition. You know,
Well,
so
freaking said.
Yeah.
I wanted to also say randomly, like, how bonkers is it that Talking Heads, they put out Fear of Music in August of '79 and then put out Remain in Light only a year later? That is the kind of stuff that blows my little brain to pieces.
Yeah. And
also,
and
almost
once
forgot.
again,
Last call to action. If you are a masked person like V, over the nose, under the mouth, N95, KN95. Please, beg of you, like, you know, do it for yourself. You to compromise the children and your friends and family. We love you. We love you. We love you. Thanks again for taking on and hang out. Say that thing you always say at the end of these streams. This isn't good. This isn't farewell. It's only goodbye. What is it?
So goodbye, but not farewell.
Goodbye, but not farewell. This has been Ken Mide. Up the punks. Ska now more than ever. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. And Godspeed. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in.
Absolute pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine, my friend.